There is your England squad for the end-of-year test matches. These are the men that Steve Borthwick has named to go head-to-head with the Southern Hemisphere juggernauts when they come north and come to Twickenham in what should be an amazing month of rugby. Steve Borthwick never really offers up any big surprises, and there isn't in this squad announcement. There are, though, some key men back from injury. Tom Curry, Ben Curry. England have got Twin DeLu in their back row stocks again, and Alex Dombrand also comes back. And in the back line, Henry Slade is back from injury. That is a key cog back in England's midfield. Beyond that, Ethan Roots is the one player that's been dropped, but Ted Hill has not been picked in his place, which I was hoping for. I'll go through it position by position because it's a little bit difficult to digest just in a list. And as I do, I will say the players that I think maybe have been hard done by, the players that aren't available due to injury, the changes that have been made, and by the end of the video, I will also select what I think will be England's 23-man squad that runs out against New Zealand on November the 2nd. Your thoughts in the comments down below, please, and give the video a thumbs up to help me spread the word. I would love it as well if I would earn your subscription. A belting bunch of games coming up, isn't there? Starting big with New Zealand. England had a couple of great games against New Zealand in July. What's going to happen when Razor comes north for the first time? We're going to find out. South Africa on the 16th. The world champions coming to Twickenham. Mwah, chef's kiss. Loving that. I'll be there at Twickenham for that game. In between, Australia. Hopefully they can put up a good fight. I expect Steve Borthwick will select his strongest possible team for those 3 games, back to back to back. And then he'll make all the changes for the Japan game at the end. With the greatest of respect to them, England should win that game comfortably. They should beat Australia. I think the target should be to win all 4. I think 3 wins out of 4 would probably be seen as a success for England, but no less than that. That is the standards that they have to set. And really, winning all 4 will be and should be England's target. What do you think of the squad then? Let me go through position by position, starting with the front row. Now, overall, there is no changes in the front row from the training squad that was announced a couple of weeks ago. The same 3 loose-head props, Joe Marler, Ellis Genge and Finn Baxter. At hooker, previously and going down to New Zealand, it was Gabriel Ogre. He was out of the training squad because Luke Cowan-Dickie came back in. Ogre's been playing brilliantly for Bristol and will and arguably should feel hard done by. I think that selection of Cowan-Dickie over Ogre suggests to me that Steve Borthwick wants a bit of size in his front row options. And I can understand that because you've got to win the scrum and you've got to meet these teams physically. And New Zealand's front row is outstanding and South Africa's is, well, South Africa, isn't it? So I think that's why Luke Cowan-Dickie's been picked. Gabe Ogre will feel hard done by. Curtis Langdon has obviously been playing well for a while now. But there you go. They're quite well stocked there. England are not so well stocked at tight head prop. No changes from the training squad. It's Trevor Davison, Dan Cole and Will Stewart. Trevor Davison's was a big part of the reason why Northampton won the Premiership last year. He added a bit of ballast in their front row and hopefully he can do the same for England as well. But it's not an area of strength. In fact, I'd probably say it's England's biggest area of weakness, and it has been for quite some time. We've got some good young players coming through, but yeah, that's going to be my biggest concern when we come up against New Zealand and South Africa. How can these boys do? Second row, this is what was named in the training squad a few weeks back. It's Alex Coles, along with George Martin, Maro Itoje and Ollie Chesham. Alex Coles out injured, and Steve Borthwick has named 2 players in his place. Now, this could be because Steve Borthwick was like, I can't decide who I want to pick instead of Alex Coles, Nick Ezekwe or Charlie Ewels. Do you know what? I'll just pick them both. It could be that. I think more likely it's that one of these guys, probably Ollie Chesham, is going to be used in the back row. And that makes sense when you look at the back row options where there were 7 men named in the training squad. Now there's 6. And of the 7 that are here, the only 3 that remain are the 3 that started that last test match against New Zealand: Ben Earl, Sam Underhill and Chandler Cunningham South. The other 4, Tom Pearson, Tom Willis, Greg Fisselau, and the player dropped from the England squad from the tour to New Zealand, Ethan Roots as well. 3 players come back in, both the Curry twins and Alex Dombrand are back fit. I thought Ted Hill might be the guy, and probably deserves to be the guy, in my humble opinion, to replace Ethan Roots, but that hasn't happened, which again, you add that to the fact that there's 5 locks, and I think it's Ollie Chesham is now considered by Steve Borthwick a 6. And it makes sense when you look at it, doesn't it? Because then you would have Chandler Cunningham South and Ollie Chesham as blindside flanker options. You could play George Martin or even Maro Itoje there. 7 options. You've got Sam Underhill and Tom Curry, also Ben Curry, but Tom Curry can cover 6 and 8. And then you've got your 2 out-and-out number 8s. Well, I know Ben Earl can play 7, but your number 8s are Ben Earl and Alex Dombrandt. So that all kind of makes sense to me. And I mean, that's a very good back 5 of the scrum. If we can hold the scrums together, I think England are in a good place with their pack moving forward. What about the back line? Well, the big miss for England is Alex Mitchell. He made the starting scrum half job his own. He's out injured and going to miss the autumn. That could end up being a good thing for England because it presents an opportunity for one of these guys. Harry Randall, Jack Van Portfleet and Ben Spencer. They're the 3 that were named in the training squad. They've now been named in the proper end-of-year test squad. Who's going to get the starting job? You've got 3 very different players. I'd say Jack Van Portfleet is the best tactical kicker out of the 3 of them. Harry Randall is the best runner out of the 3 of them. Ben Spencer is probably the guy that does more things, like he'd be 7 or 8 out of 10 on all of it. So he's kind of more of a balance. And for that reason, I think Ben Spencer may end up getting the job to start. But whoever gets picked, I think will indicate how Steve Borthwick is looking to play. If he goes with Harry Randall, it's that he wants to open it up a little bit more. It's going to be interesting to watch. I don't know what's going to happen there. Fly half, a little bit easier to predict. Finn Smith backing up Marcus Smith. Although I will say George Ford hasn't been named in the squad, but he has been named as someone who is doing rehab with the squad, which suggests that he is going to be available for selection for some, if not all, of the November tests. And if that is the case, well, that makes it a little bit more of a toss-up selection-wise. Centres, these are the guys that were named in the training squad. You had Alex Lazowski and Oscar Beard, both picked. And Henry Slade was out injured. Well, Slade is back, but Fraser Dingwall is out injured. Luke Northmore replaces Oscar Beard, his Harlequins teammate. So that means you've got 2 12s, Ollie Lawrence and Luke Northmore, and 2 13s, Henry Slade and Alex Lazowski. Pretty happy with that. Outside backs, exactly the same as the training squad. The 7 guys that were named then are named now. Ollie Slightholme, Tommy Freeman, Tom Roback and Emmanuel Faye-Waboso are the out-and-out wingers. George Furbank and Freddie Stewart, the out-and-out fullbacks. And Elliot Daly is there probably as the ideal number 23 in a matchday squad because he can do it all, including playing centre. So, although obviously Tommy Freeman can do that role as well, which does, actually now I think about it, that does change who might get the 23 shirt. Anyway, that moves me nicely on to who I think will be the team that run out against New Zealand. I would love to know what you think. So when the training squad was announced, I picked a 23 based on the guys that were in the training squad. And based on the guys that were in the training squad, which didn't have George Ford in the picture, didn't have Henry Slade, didn't have Tom Curry, etc., this was what I selected. Now, for the most part, I'm going to stick with that. Obviously, Fraser Dingwall is out and Henry Slade is back. That makes the midfield obvious. The back line, other than that, I think will be the same. Starting side, I've gone with that. Now, the one thing in the pack, I'm thinking Ollie Chesham will be on the bench. He can cover second row and back row, as I've mentioned. Tom Curry, brilliant guy to have coming off the bench. George Ford, if fit and available, I think will be on the bench. I've got Harry Randall there and Ben Spencer starting. Just to look at the forwards, though, I think I could be wrong on Joe Marler. Now, Joe Marler is England's best scrummager. And as I've pointed out before, Steve Borthwick has fallen into a pattern where he either starts Dan Cole or starts Joe Marler. Never the two at the same time, because they're England's 2 best scrummagers in their position. So always have one of them on the field and it kind of keeps the scrum a bit solid. But Finn Baxter has been playing so well for Harlequins and did really well in the summer for England that I just wonder whether Ellis Genge may start and Finn Baxter on the bench, or even Finn Baxter just leapfrogging both of them and Joe Marler being out of the 23. I don't know what's going to happen there. Trevor Davison could get the starting job ahead of Will Stewart or be the one that's on the bench. Like I said, I've just picked Marler to start and Cole on the bench, but it could be Cole to start and Marler on the bench, if you get my point. But Yeah, there's not many positions I'm unsure of. The props and the scrum half are probably the ones I'm fairly confident in, the rest of it being bang on. Should Steve Borthwick go for the jugular a bit and have Tom Curry at 6? Kind of get the Bash brothers. What did Eddie Jones used to call them? Kamikaze twins. Get the Kamikaze twins out there. In fact, it was a game at Twickenham against New Zealand, wasn't it? Where they were both playing flanks, 6 and 7. And Sam Underhill put in the most amazing shot. I can't remember who on. But anyway, I'll have to go back and watch that because that was a wonder tackle. Maybe. Backline. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's going to be the backline. Do you disagree with any of that? Let me know. I'm pretty confident. As I've been saying for a while now, I feel better about this England squad than I have done now than in a long time. Just with the one little asterisk, the one question mark, can we do a job at scrum time? It's been our Achilles heel, and up against New Zealand and South Africa, if we're weak in that area, the whole thing could unravel. I hope we continue with this more attacking balanced play. It's going to be interesting to see if England still go with the blitz defence. Now Felix Jones is not there, and what impact the coaching changes has had. We're going to see. And we haven't got long to wait because November will be here before you know it. It's bleak and horrible outside the window I'm looking at now. Grey, wet, cold. It could be inhospitable conditions, but the games, I'm sure, are going to be brilliant. Bring it on. I'll see you on the next video.